All right, welcome back for a discussion about Children of Dune. This is the third book in Frank Herbert's Dune saga. 6 books in total penned by him, and then a bunch of others by his son, Brian Herbert, but I'm only really focusing on the main series here. So, finished the book yesterday afternoon. Kind of sat with it all day long. I'm still kind of thinking about this, and I'm wondering to myself, did Dune jump the shark? Did Dune jump the sandworm? Right? Uh, I cannot talk about this book without talking about stuff that happened in Dune and in Dune Messiah. So there will be spoilers for those books in this review because I it builds on those previous novels. One of the things, so let's just do a recap. You got Dune. Dune sets up the universe. It seems very much more like a hard sci-fi universe, right? And it does have mystical elements in it with the Bene Gesserit, kind of some mysticism, with Paul having these flashes of prescient visions of the future. Okay? By the end of that book, he ends up becoming the emperor. The things that he has foreseen, they unplay. We have a time skip. 12 years later, we have Dune Messiah. You have Paul's sister Aaliyah, who's born in the first book as a preborn, meaning that she's born with all the memories or the genetic memory of her ancestors within her. And then this really starts to get fleshed out more, what this means, why she's called an abomination and everything. And they're really gonna take that to the next level in this book. So it's building on top of, it's like it starts here, it builds on top of it, and then it builds on top of it. And there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of things going on. This book picks up 9 years after Dune Messiah. So from Dune to Dune Messiah, you had a 12-year time skip. Then from Dune Messiah to this book, you have a 9-year time skip. So we're following the fallout of the events at the end of Dune Messiah. At the end of Dune Messiah, we have the birth of the twins, Leto and Ganima. So, absolutely, let's talk about George Lucas. George Lucas, you ripped all this stuff off. The twins, Luke and Leia, right? Well, we got Leto. It's not Luke, it's Leto and Ganima. You know what I mean? Although Paul does have a sister named Aaliyah, right? Aaliyah, Leia. Come on, man. Anyways, Tatooine, Dune, Sand Planet, Baron Harkonnen, big fat guy, Jabba the Hutt, given over to his. Never mind. The comparisons can go on and on. The spice runs the Kessel, right? Spice smuggler, Han Solo. It's a whole other thing. The twin sons of Tatooine. You got the twin moons of Dune. All right, I'm going to drop that. I'll be on a Star Wars comparison forever. But wow, this book. I think this is the one where you get off. This is the book. If you are on the Dune train, this is probably the one that's you're either going to commit and go the rest of the way, or you're going to get off. Now, I'm in a bit of a dilemma here. because I was enjoying this book so much. I was like, I'm going to finish this in a couple of days, and I'm going to want to read the follow-up. So I already ordered the God Emperor of Dune before I finished this, and now I'm like, well, I got this book that I'm not so sure I want to keep reading on, but I bought it already, so I'm going to read it, but it may sit for a week or two before I get to it, because this just took a hard left, man. It went bananas at the end. And I'm contemplating, did it jump the shark? Because to me it doesn't feel like it's science fiction anymore. It feels like it absolutely went into fantasy. Which is okay. I'm not knocking it, but I wasn't expecting this body horror H.P. Lovecraftian type event that takes place at the conclusion of the novel. And I can see where a lot of people would just go, this is completely stupid, and they would just quit. They would quit reading. For me, I'm kind of into some weird stuff. Like, I like Farscape. I like the mystical elements of Deep Space Nine, the stuff in Star Trek Deep Space Nine that people don't like, with the prophets and the Bajoran religion and the wormhole aliens. I find that stuff interesting. That turns a lot of people off of that show, but I like it because it's dealing with religion. This stuff is weird. It got weird. I thought the end of the last book was weird. This one got really weird. Let's talk for a minute about Aaliyah. So in the second book, Paul's sister Aaliyah became kind of my favorite character in that book. And I don't like what they did with her in Children of Dune. It really upsets me. That was one of the things that really just, I was like, ugh, I don't like this. So she's dealing with her memories of genetic memory of previous lives. This is one of the things that the Reverend Mothers, when they take their spice drink or whatever, the waters of life, it opens them up, their genetic memory, to all of their ancestors. Well, Aaliyah being preborn, because her mother Jessica in the first book drank these waters to unlock her genetic memory. Since she was pregnant, that was passed on to her daughter Aaliyah. So Aaliyah is a tragic character who's born having all these memories of lives of her ancestors, and she hasn't been able to form her own personality before being open to this. So it's a real danger. This is the danger of abomination that they delve into in this novel. It really reminds me of the Trill in Star Trek. They're a symbiotic species, so they have this worm that's inside of them, right, that has the memories of its previous host. So when the Trill get the symbiont put inside of them, they now have all the memories of the previous host. So Jadzia Dax has the memories of Curzon Dax, and all these other Dax that came before that carried this thing, because it's a symbiotic relationship. It's kind of like that in this. You have the previous life memories experience of these people that lived before. So Aaliyah's wrestling with this. And also Paul's twins, his children, Leto and Ganima, are born with this. And that stuff is interesting. So I was all on board with it because it's an interesting idea. I don't like what they did with Aaliyah, but hey, it's not my book. I didn't write it. So I was kind of just rolling with it, like, okay, well, this is weird. But the end just went completely bananas. I'm not going to ruin the end of the book, but I will say to you this, that this is definitely the one. This ends a trilogy. By the way, there's one of the elements of this book is a mysterious preacher who lives out in the deserts of Arrakis, and he's blind. So if you've read Dune Messiah, the person with there's an event that takes place in that book where people are blinded by the stone burner. Okay? So there's this mysterious prophet or preacher that lives out in the deserts of Arrakis who's blind. I'm just going to say it's a mystery, man. So there's a lot of talk in this book, Children of Dune, about the Golden Path, which it's really getting into the mystery box territory now, where it's like if I want to understand the Golden Path and know more what it is, like I'm definitely going to have to read the next book, God Emperor of Dune, which I already own, so I'm definitely going to read it. But I'm just like, I'm in this place where did the series jump the shark? If you're not familiar with the term, it comes from Happy Days episode where the Fonzie, hey, he jumps the shark. He's water skiing, he jumps a shark. And it's so absurd and so just completely unbelievable that you're just like, well, this is where the term jump of the shark comes from. When a series just completely goes in a wacky direction. And I feel like Children of Dune, it had some weird stuff in it, but at the end, man, it jumps the shark. It jumps the sandworm. Which, all bets are off. Anything can happen now because we have gone into the level of absurdity now where I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. It's definitely gone completely weird. So if weird isn't your thing and you like grounded stories, maybe Dune's not for you. If you're a type of person that is already reading weird stuff like H.P. Lovecraft, and you like the weird elements of shows like Farscape, that show has a neural clone where it's like this person is inside of your head. There's something very similar going on like that in Children of Dune. The whole idea of phantom memories or genetic memory. There's even a part where from the Iliad, right? The character Agamemnon makes himself known in one of these characters' heads in their genetic memories. So, yeah, it goes off the rails, man. This one is a weird one. I'm not going to say it's bad. I think that Frank Herbert's writing has improved. I think he's actually getting better as a writer. I think that this book has the most well-written characterization of the 3 books that I've read. But there's still some really stupid stuff that happens. Like the whole thing with the plot with the Liaison Tigers. I'm like, this is really convoluted and it's kind of a stupid plan if you think about it. Like, it just seems kind of absurd. Anyways, I'm not going to go on. If you are into the first 2 books, you've read them, I think you have to read this one because it does conclude as a trilogy. This is definitely a trilogy, and this is definitely the closure of the trilogy. If you didn't like Dune, I don't know what to tell you. It just seems like it's getting weirder from here. Each book just progressively gets weirder and weirder, and I'm just expecting more weirdness and more absurdity. So it's really kind of going into space opera. It doesn't feel like science fiction anymore. We are at like Flash Gordon levels of absurdity right now. So I guess that's all I got to say. Thanks for watching. I know this wasn't really much of a review. It's kind of a rambly, weird, kind of incoherent thing, but that's kind of how my feelings and thoughts on this are right now. I don't know what to think. This is really bizarre. Anyways, live long and prosper. Have a wonderful day.